I love the fifth house, one of my favorite topics. This is Becky Moore. Becky Moore is a trained astrologer. She's taken level 1, 2, and 3. She's done an intensive. She's been in my circle for how many years?
Um, four and a half, something like that.
Yeah, like since the school, like right after the school started. So
Right at the beginning, yeah.
Becky lives in Seattle. I'm just going to give you a little bit about her bio. She's an integrative healer, a tarot reader, and an astrologer. So we got all those. She's a educator. She's really good at teaching. She's one of our best mentors. She's passionate about all things because she's got a fifth house son. The body, the spiritual world, taking care of yourself, learning about mysticism, learning about the messengers that are coming, and she loves to empower people. So this is your girl. She has got a private practice in Seattle, and she lives with her hubby and her 2 kids, and she's got the coolest chart. So Becky, this is the Star Community, but it's really the library. It's changed its name, and this will go
Right.
down in history. And so whenever we have somebody with 18 planets in one house, I'm about to show you her chart, it's pretty likely that they get our example. Hey, there it is, Becky Moore. Okay, watch this, you guys. This is a chart of someone who, even though it's a classical story, even though it's all in Earth, her chart has multiple planets in Earth, as you can see here. Where is Earth? Right here. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in Earth plus your ascendant.
Yep.
Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh, woo, woo. So she has 6 planets in Earth: Sun, Mercury, Venus in Virgo, Pluto, Uranus in Virgo, and then she's got Moon in Taurus and Taurus rising, and thank God her North Node's in Aries. That's a relief. So let's talk about the fifth house. I'm going to talk about it, Becky, and then you're going to jump in with concrete examples. So it's me giving you some leverage to jump, but I'll start by saying the fifth house is the house of Leo. You probably all know this. So it comes with an excessive amount of creativity. It is the house of creativity, and they can't help themselves. Like there's a compulsion, the fifth house personality, to do a little drama. Like you can't distinguish between creativity and drama because they tell you their stories that it's like, oh, and then you're like, can you just turn that into a short story, or can you just like what can you do with all that energy?
So
So
exposing having this.
okay, talk about your fifth house. Talk about what it feels like to have that dramatic flair. Like, where does it show up in your life?
Well, so I've been really thinking about this a lot, and I can't quite talk about it without the Virgo because the Virgo is so much integrated with the fifth house drama. So the complaining can somehow sometimes be like a huge drama. And the like I'm not good enough drama and yeah, that's probably like the biggest drama. Like, things aren't going well. Oh my God, I got a little bit of the oy vey thing going at times.
Right. So just notice the volume of her voice and the intensity of her confidence. Like, oh my God! Like this is the thing about fifth house people. You only need to have your sun there or your moon there, but in this case, she has a lot of planets. Everything is excessive. Like Leo makes up things that just, it's not like they stubbed their toe, like, ah! Like you're like, you just quiet. But they can't, the whole drama comes in with a full blown fire. Now here's an earth mama. She's so earth. But I have witnessed when you tell a story of how it's a floodgate. Is that what it feels like? Like the emotional realm or
Um,
it's not so
yeah,
emotional
well,
probably.
so my Virgo is very much trying to control it all the time, and like and then like just kind of push it down, push it down, push it down, and then all of a sudden there's this like, yeah. So you always witness the release, right? Like you.
So yeah, so that's right. So that the Virgo controls, but the fifth house will not control. They do not control. It's an impulsive actor or actress who has to give expression to their emotions, and why would they turn it down? Like, don't tell me what to do. That's Leo. That's the fifth house. So the Virgo's trying to control you, but the fifth house is starting fires all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and yes. Do you want me to talk about the creativity?
That's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Yes.
I mean, because there's sort of this, like, the passion also sort of really shows up in just this incessant idea generator. Like, I am constantly coming up with ideas, and I realize there's like phases in my life where it's had different focuses, and so right now it's really focused on career since Saturn's sitting on my MC right now, and so it's like what's next, what's next, what's next, and so I'm constantly kind of like thinking of ideas. Like, all I want is to have downtime, and then as soon as I have downtime for like 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, now what's next? Now what's next, right? Like, so I do this huge effort to kind of clear my schedule, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I like to do stuff because I'm still going and I still got things to do, and I'm still like, so I'm always. So sometimes I can wear myself out. So that's like the fire in the earth, because it's like I have all these ideas and all this passion, and then my earth is just like, yeah, 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 let's get going, right? And I'm just sort of like, and then I kind of go, 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 and then I crash a little bit. So my whole, I'm really working on just not overdoing it, which is sort of working. That's,
Sort of working. But so tell us, like, I can see how that's the impulse of Virgo in the fifth house is you're constantly in the creative mode. What are some of the things you do for creativity? Like, since you were young, what are some of the things that fifth house will find
well,
itself?
I mean, I have an art degree, so I went to art school.
Fifth house.
Yeah, which seemed completely out of left field when it happened. But it's like I've always loved art. I've always been just, I don't know, I was just one of those kids that was always sort of drawing, and I had a major imagination. I realize my imagination sort of goes wild. And so
Like
the
hands-on stuff? Like you make stuff?
do I make stuff? Well, oh gosh, do I make stuff? I haven't made stuff recently, but I definitely went through phases of kind of doing things. I like either like, so sometimes it's cooking, sometimes, well, I made kids. Does that count?
Yes, that's very fifth house.
So the kids are kind of like taking up a bunch of creativity. Um,
Don't you do you like tarot cards,
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
like your
and
newsletters?
my work is completely creative. I mean, so I started out as a massage therapist, and now it's just sort of morphed into this, like, cranial sacral and Reiki and intuitive information. And so there's sort of like, there's this constant kind of influx of information that comes in when I'm working with people. And yeah, very tactile. My whole learning style is very tactile. I couldn't like really, I like information sort of bounced off of me when I was a kid. I couldn't take it in until I started learning like really concrete information. So,
That's
yeah.
so that's very fifth house. The fifth house, I'm thinking of someone I know who's so fifth house. She's always got a project. Like there's like I don't know how many projects she has, but there's this thing I'm doing. I'm going to work on this film, and then I'm going to work on this script, and then I'm going to work on. I'm going to meet those people. Like there's a creative burgeon. Like it's a burning feeling. Is that what it feels like? Like you have to be productive.
Yes. Um, Yeah, and again, it's sort of, I notice it's sort of like these phases that I go through, depending, like, so for a while it was painting, and then it was printmaking, and then it was photography, and then massage sort of, and healing. The healing thing has sort of been consuming for a while. Like, and spirituality, I mean, I can't get enough of it. Like, it's sort of this, like, I want to go bigger and bigger and bigger and further out. Like, I have this, like, I love science fiction. I love kind of having my brain twisted and just sort of like I love my ideals challenged. Like, to me, that's like the most exciting thing. Like when somebody says something new to me and I haven't heard of it that way, I'm always just like, oh my God, I love that. I love that. Like I'm like I have to like wrap my head around it and just sort of get this like, I don't know why it's so exciting. Like, it's so fun when I have.
Everything about the fifth house is exciting. Like when I have another friend with a fifth house and going bike riding with her, she's always screaming, "I love life!" Like as loud as you're like, it's so fifth house. They can't. The fifth house is so exuberant. It's the kid in us. The fifth house is the kid, not the fourth house is having the child. The fifth house is the children everywhere and how enthusiastic they get and how endearing that is. Like you can't be around someone who says, "I love this" without going, "Me too." Like you want to jump on their bandwagon. So it's contagious. And that's one of the things I see you do. You're always turning people on.
Oh, that's fun. I hadn't really thought of it that way. That's great.
You're like a fire starter. That's the fifth house Leo. You're a fire starter. You're like, oh my God, you're gonna love this. Oh my God, let me tell you about yourself. Oh my God, let me give you a tarot card. Like you're like,
Yeah, well, I human psychology. I mean, I'm not a therapist, but I've like read all these books and done all this stuff. And I mean, the human mind is also like so fascinating to me. And I mean, that's what I love about astrology because it, like, this is my Virgo, right? Like, it categorizes people. And I love like these little compartments that I get to put people in. And yeah, it's fun.
it's the enthusiasm. What were you like before you knew astrology? Like, how did your fifth house show up when you were
Uh,
pre-astrology?
hmm.
Like, were you the mom? The kids came to your house?
Not so much actually. So my husband's also a Leo, so we've got a little bit of like Leoness going on in the house, and so he is like, oh my God, he's totally the Pied Piper. So that's really interesting. I kind of am the one that's making sure there's dinner on the table a lot. So
That's
I
all
don't
your earth. See, your earth trumps all that fire. But it's
a little
still,
sometimes.
it's not, but you do have Leo. It's very obvious when you're in a room. I love having you in level threes because you're extremely attentive. Like fire, fifth house personality, any fire, any Leo, their voltage is extra. They got an extra power pack. So when they're excited, they're more excited as we described, but also they're attentive. They're like, they cannot fall asleep in the middle of the movie. Like you are not the
Oh
one to
my
fall asleep.
God, that is so funny. I have to know the end too. Even if it's the worst movie in the world, I have to know what's going on. I can't stand when the
That's
movie
the
starts.
drama. It's like you are a built-in drama queen with a dramatic flair in life, even though you're going to make sure the dishes are done. But you're going to be like, okay, I'm watching this. I'm engaged. I'm full. The fifth house has an extra power pack of involvement in life. It's like watching every fifth. I love this position of fifth house personality. They're excited. They're louder, even though you're a Virgo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes. I definitely am because my Virgo is always telling me I'm not good enough, and then I'm always like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'll show you who's not good enough." So I kind of have a little thing inside.
And that is really fifth house. And the other thing about fifth house is they have to excel. Like they have to be really good at what this. You add that to a Virgo, the fifth house. That's why they look in the mirror all the time, and why they're always changing, and they have to make sure everything is right and the colors are right because they're so identified with being really good. Leos cannot do mediocrity, so you add that to Virgo, you can't do a half-ass job,
Nope,
which
nope.
is why she's such a good mentor. So for any of you watching this who are thinking, wonder who I should take astrology from, Becky will make sure you're totally taken care of. She'll get to know if she makes a mistake, she's the first one to go, that was wrong, excuse me. Let me fix that. I got a fifth house son. I cannot leave anything with my ego unsatisfied.
No, very true. Very true.
So it's
Yeah.
fire starter, it's creativity,
Is
it's
it
power packed.
is it the truth teller also then?
Oh yeah. Yeah, fifth house. Oh God, like I'm thinking of another fifth house sun person. We were at a party and there was something that had happened in the group, and I could just see her coming, even though she was a Scorpio. She was like, "We're going to talk about this." Like, oh God, here she goes. So she had to like the Leo is like an Aries or a Sag in that they can't contain their energy. So if there's a pocket where it's not being tended to, they'll walk right into it because they can't. There's no media like a typical. If you were Taurus in the second house, you'd be so conservative. Like we're not going to talk about it. We'll wait for the group to decide. But if you've got a fifth house sun, you're like, someone talk about it.
Yeah.
And then your Virgo's like, would you sit down, Becky?
Yeah, or and then there's like if I don't say something, then I do this incredible stewing inside, and like I get like all like, can people just not see that the emperor's not wearing any clothes? Like, seriously, like, like it's just sort of like, are you not paying attention? Like, it's always a little surprising when people don't notice things. I'm like, yeah.
So let me just give you permission right here in this interview. You are allowed to be disruptive. Your Virgo doesn't like it, but that fifth house is a fire starter. And the function of it is to say things. And even though in all fifth house people, why they're so creative, it doesn't stop from doing the gardening to making the food to sewing the clothes to putting the art on the walls to dressing the kids up to making sure it's like it's actually an extra power pack that makes them, their voltage is higher. So if it doesn't get consumed with function, thank God you're all earth, it's just drama for its own sake.
Yep. Huh.
So you have to catch yourself.
I'm very,
I think you're very good at that. Yeah.
very functional.
Yeah, you wouldn't do drama for its own sake if you didn't have, because you're always gets filtered through what am I doing? How long will this take? What time is it?
Yeah.
Like a typical fifth house person doesn't care about time at all. All they care about is the fun factor. Like they're doing extra efforts all the time to turn the volume up. That's what a fifth house person is. They cannot understand why you're sitting around the campfire and someone's not singing. Like, we're not going to sit here. We're going to come up with an idea to celebrate the group. Like, there's it's a camp counselor. That's what it is. It's the camp counselor.
God. That's so cool. I used to be a camp counselor.
Of course, a fifth house person, they bring it's a bit of Pied Piper, but it's not the same. The good thing about you is your ego isn't starving. The fifth house can be, if it was an air sign or a fire sign, but as an earth person, you want them to feel the create. You get off, and this is why you're a great healer. You get off on watching someone's fire start and then pushing them out of the cabin and say, or off the, like, you go do it by yourself. Get out of here.
Oh my God, totally. No, I like, the biggest joy for me is watching somebody else to see their, like, the truth inside of them, and to, so many people come to me in a state of victim, and or like, that's sort of a mean way of saying it, but in a state of like, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing, like, my body hurts, I'm in pain, it's chronic, there's nothing I can do. And so, like, to have like this movement for them to kind of like move forward, find some sort of, it's the empowerment of the fact that we as humans are stronger than we think we are, and that we have more control, like, and it's our energy system. It's just not our physical body. It's not just our emotional body. It's our energy body as well. And like, when you're working with all of those together, it just sort of creates this, like, this huge monumental shift in people. And I'm like, I feel so blessed. I mean, oh my God, I just can't even tell you. I feel like I just sort of, I somehow like followed the breadcrumbs of life and just sort of found myself in this place. And part of it is because I can't stop learning. Like, I'm in this, like, I can't stop learning. I'm like, seriously, like, how many more things am I going to, like, add to my tool belt? Like, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Do you teach the tarot?
I do, yeah. I don't have any classes right now. So this was the thing, I kind of burned out last year, and so I just went done with classes, and now I'm starting to kind of get back into the, like, what should I do? And so I'll get classes on my schedule again. I teach about intuition. I teach about energy medicine, like, just like what the different parts of the body mean. I teach about the tarot. I teach astrology with you. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different classes I teach.
It's so fifth house. Okay, well, I think we did it. The point of this conversation is you're a fire starter, you're dramatic. You put your sun sign in there. She's a Virgo, so she's a dramatic Virgo. That's not normal. They are eternally creative and eternally grateful for everything. Like, they are the people that get excited over nothing.
You know what we're doing next week? We're going hiking for 70 miles. You know how I'm excited about this? I'm so excited.
Where are you going?
The Pacific Crest Trail. We're doing like a section of it.
Who are we?
Me, my husband, and my 2 high school age kids. I'm so excited.
You can get them out to go hiking?
Yeah. Can you believe it? They're so
Yes.
bored.
We've got an adventure. Follow the mom and the
Really,
dad's at
it's
the.
like such the success that I'm getting them.
Do you ever feel like you're bossy with that? Because fifth house people are bossy.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I walk into, I've had to really watch myself because, like, I'll be working and then and my kids are home, and I'll walk into the house and I'll just be like, "What? No one did the dishes? Like seriously?" And
That's
my poor
that's
son,
fifth house.
I have a Virgo son, and he's always like, "Oh, sorry, mom." Whereas my Aries daughter, it just rolls her eyes at me.
That's so cute. Yes, that is classical. Like they cannot. They are pushy energetically. I have a brother who's got 4 planets in the fifth house. And he's a Scorpio, which would make him, you'd think, but he is so controlling around wanting it to be his way. It's very Leo. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to be,
Well, and the Virgo, I have to really watch that. I have to really kind of pay attention to just, I mean, it's like, well, the good thing about reading people's energy is like, I know immediately, like I'll say something, I can see my daughter's face and I'll laugh and I'll say, okay, I'm putting more money in the therapy jar. I'm so sorry I just said that. And I'll be like, oh my God, your facial expression. I'm so sorry that hit you too hard. And then I'll just completely apologize. I mean, especially with a teenage daughter, right? Like, good Lord. I mean, of course she's going to be sensitive no matter what, but I can see this.
that is very fifth house. That is so fifth house. I have this friend who's a Scorpio with fifth house, and she tells me the most personal, like, I'm like, this is not appropriate. Don't say that out loud. But even though she's a Scorpio, but all that fifth house, they can't hold things back.
Yeah.
It's the emperor with no clothes. It's like, I'm going to say it. And that's your function, but the
Okay.
awareness certainly helps. You are meant to be a fire person. The element of that house is fire. The body part is the heart and the backbone, like standing up and opening your heart and saying what we're all thinking. The element is fire, is starting us and igniting us and getting us going. The planet is the sun. Like, look at me. I'm a Virgo, but I need attention. And I get lonely. If you don't notice me, I'm lonely. And then I'll, rah, rah, rah. Yes.
It's true.
Anything you want to add to the fifth house conversation? That was so fun.
I don't think so. That seems pretty good.
I think we got it, you guys. So when you're watching all these videos and you think about fifth house and you go, wow, the personality type that has a strong fifth house is allowed to stand up, stand out, be about themselves. Even if they're self-conscious Virgo, you want to give them permission to say, turn up the volume.
Turn up
All
the
right.
volume, turn up the volume. Isn't that a song?
Turn up the volume. We're making it right. See, that's so you. Make up a song or make up a dance. We're going to make up, like they send you beautiful cards and they make the little cards and then they make up the song and then they write a short story and then they welcome to the fifth house. Isn't that a song? No, but we just made it up. Okay, I'm stopping the recording. Say it is not. Thank you so much. And if you want to find her, how do they find you?
Oh, my website's BeckyMoore.com. Pretty easy.